Okay, so today we're talking about schizophrenia. My schizophrenia, and I don't mean to trigger anyone, but it's gonna get serious. It's you and I. So, as everyone knows, I have schizophrenia, and I've had it since I was little. Since I was 6 years old. Very little. Or at least I remember since 6 years old having it. That was when I first remember hearing hallucinations. I have auditory hallucinations. I talk to things that aren't there. Things that I consider as simulations. Basically, things that would be people or stuff like that. It's a little different than daydreaming because I'm not associating it with myself. I can't associate it with myself. So it's not daydreaming. I'm actually talking with other people. And it's very difficult because that's what hallucinations are. And this happens with people with schizophrenia. And I've had it for a very, very long time. I've never had the visual hallucinations. I've never had the tactile hallucinations. But I've had the auditory hallucinations. Yes, I have experienced the delusions. And some of them have gone out there in Looney Land. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, to begin with my journey with schizophrenia, the thing is that you also have to think about the negative side effects of schizophrenia too. Because part of the negative side effects of schizophrenia also involves things like ADHD and having a very hard time being able to socialize and so forth, and having a very hard time being able to, how should I say, speak correctly and so forth. And I've had problems with these things for quite some time as well. Quite a hard time trying to, how should I say, get my sentences correct and do stuff like that. Has been a thing that I've had for a long time as well. But the ADHD thing is something that I've had a problem with when I was in school, and we just never got it re-diagnosed. I had problems focusing on the blackboard. I had problems focusing with letters on the blackboard and seeing numbers on the blackboard. And the school thought it was a vision problem at first. And they sent me to see a vision specialist. And the vision specialist said that, yeah, you may have a vision problem, etc. And then they found out that there wasn't a vision problem, that there was other problems because I wasn't having an easy time paying attention to the instructor. I had a hard time understanding the instructor, and being able to focus on the instructor, because part of that involves not being able to focus on what the instructor is saying, mainly due to the fact that the hallucinations prevent you from being able to focus on what the instructor is actually trying to point out to you in a class, especially when you have gone from one class where you were highly focused in on something and the hallucinations developed around that, and the hallucinations were telling you, oh, this is great, this is blah, 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 blah. And then you go into another class and, you know, you can't focus on that because the hallucinations are telling you, this is this is that, blah, 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 blah. And you just run into this area where you can't get into anything that is being said, basically. So that basically happened to me when I was in elementary school, and I was sent to special ed. And the thing with special ed was that you get bullied, and you get bullied badly. And that happens, I guess, throughout all of school, basically, because people that are not disabled face bullying all the time. Like the LGBT community faces bullying, other people face bullying. It just happens. It's something that comes with being in school, and you know, people face it, but it is illegal, and students don't know that. You can face some very serious problems with the government, even as a student, because it is against the law to bully other students in school. So that's something a lot of students don't know. And it's something that needs to be more enforced in schools, because, like I said, it is a violation of the law. And the thing with me was that I passed all the way through to 5th grade, and then because of this bullying, I ended up being put into a special ed school that brought me back down to 1st grade, and then continuously and repeatedly taught me at 1st grade for years on end, because they did not keep me in the K through 12 system. And then after a few years, they bumped me up to 5th grade, and then repeatedly taught me at that level until a couple of years later, they decided to say, well, we're going to teach you at, we're gonna let you try to take the adult whatever it is, adult equivalency test. But yeah, I think at the time I was kind of bullshit myself, because I, in one way, for some reason, didn't want to get out of the place for some weird reason. And I don't know why, it's just that was that way. But they too undermined a lot of my education for years, which I came to later regret, because I couldn't get out of the hole that I was in. But even if I wanted to, I would never be able to get out of it anyways, because it wouldn't have mattered. And even if I did try to press charges on this particular institution, this particular place, because they were a Catholic organization. The thing is that they would have gone and said it's their First Amendment rights, and would have said they're a religious organization, blah 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 blah, bullshit like that, and the courts would have just said, no, you can't sue a religious organization because of religious freedom and blah 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 blah, bullshit like that, and they would have gotten off scot-free. And plus, my grandma, on the other hand, would have disowned me and my mom. And the thing is, we would have had to go to my grandma to sue them, because my mom just would never, I don't think she would have had the funding to basically go to get a lawyer to sue this organization. And that was the same complaint when suing my former employer as well. And basically, with suing anybody, it's bullshit, because you got to go to my grandma, and my grandma is like, my grandma is basically like, no, don't sue anybody because you, the family name, bullshit like that. Which is really crap. And I can't stand that. I cannot stand that bullshit, but it is the way it is. When I turned 16, of course during the time that I was at this place, I had also to go through something called catechism that they did in the Catholic Church, because of course it's something that they go through for confirmation with the Catholic Church. And normal Catholic schools will do confirmation at the Catholic school, but this organization doesn't do that they didn't do it at the time at that particular organization. And you had to do it, or my family wanted to do it outside in another place. And I remember the instructor told us at this place to pray this specific prayer. And this is the first time I had delusions. And, excuse me, but this is the first time I had delusions. And the delusions had developed because my hallucinations formulated around this prayer. And the reason why the delusions developed is because, like I said, the hallucinations formulated around this prayer. And the reason why they had done that was because the Catholic Church uses emotions to get people to appeal to their emotions. They use different things like logical fallacies to get them emotionally connected to the church. And this is to get them to do things like pay money to the church, and to get the church to make money off of people, and to get them more involved in the church. And the thing is that and to get them more attached with the religion. And the thing is that I had developed these delusions based around my hallucinations, and the thing was, these delusions were that I was going to be ascended into heaven. So yes, I basically went into full-blown fire and brimstone sort of stuff, and that was the kind of Christian I was basically in 2016, the kind of person who is just basically an asshole who thinks that they got to get up on a podium and state that the world is going to go to hell if you don't turn to Christianity sort of crap. And I literally thought that that the world was going to burn kind of sort of bullshit after my first episode with psychosis and the delusions and so forth. And that was a problem. That was not too great of a situation. And then that slowly died down. But as I turned 18, there was this thing that I was basically in this little group or whatever when I was at that place that I was at, that I hate to call it a school, but the thing was is that I was in this little group of, I guess you could say friends group, but I don't really consider it a friends group anymore because basically everybody bickered and bitched, and you know, there was a lot of ableism that happened between everybody, and it was just bullshit, and everybody was very homophobic and all this sort of crap. And nowadays I found out myself that in later years that I actually am very attracted to men and am LGBT myself. And the thing is that, but at this time, the thing was is that they had pushed me into relationships with women, and at this point in time, they did push me into a relationship with a woman, and it did get kind of serious. And at this point in time, I was going through about a depression because I found out about my dad, and I haven't seen my dad since I was 2 months old, and I never knew my dad for practically all of my life, and I don't discuss my dad at all. It's a whole nother story that I will not discuss at any point because it's a personal issue, and I had a lot of depression over what had happened with that. And the thing was is that she had helped me get over that, but that that relationship was never going to go anywhere. It wasn't going to go anywhere at all, even though for any reason, because one, I was LGBT. For two, I mean, I was looking at gay porn while I was in a relationship with a woman, and at the same time, you know, the majority of the porn I was watching was two guys fucking each other, and at the same time, you know, she found out that we weren't going anywhere. There was nothing happening. Like, the thing was that the place that I was going to, the learning curve that was happening there was no building out of it, and you had to effectively, you had to effectively leave that place at 18 because they would keep you to your 21 or so. And then try your luck at adult ed at that time. Or else things would just fail. So the thing was, that relationship was not going to go anywhere else. In addition to that, I was in a job at this place called Rouse's, and I was basically stuck working what we call, I was stuck working the cart clerk position, and I was diagnosed at 18 with autism, which is another side effect disorder to schizophrenia. And if you notice this with the thing is that when you're diagnosed with these disabilities and you go into a job, they don't give you any promotions, period. And it's a bullshit thing. So the whole situation with that was that, first off, the people I knew was bullshit. Second off, that relationship wasn't going anywhere. And then third off, the job was a piece of crap. I mean, the literal thing was, we dealt with Karens on a daily basis. And what I mean by that is that literally what you guys complain about on the internet all the time, and you see all the time with these white, privileged women, that racist white privileged women that constantly complain about black people going into, suburban neighborhoods and so forth and whatever have you, that white, really crazy women complain about. We dealt with that all the time. And I live in Louisiana, and I live in New Orleans, and I had to work on Sundays as a cart clerk at a grocery store in the morning before NFL games for the Saints. And I can tell you this, New Orleans before football games is crazy. It is ridiculous. The Karens come out of the woodworks. I mean, you're dealing with them on a ridiculous number. I mean, if you want to talk about black and gold Saints Karens, just talk about going to Rouse's on Rouse's at 717 South Clearview Parkway, I think is what it is. And on Sunday mornings during Saints season, and I guarantee you this, you're gonna see before 11 o'clock, and you're gonna see Karens in black and gold with the Drew Brees number 9, walking around bitching about, how the fucking store looks, or about how the floor isn't clean, or about the fact that they have to wear a fucking mask, or about this and that reason, or whatever the fucking other reasons they're complaining about, and just other bullshit that's going on. And and I mean, it's literally it's the whole thing. You had to deal with Karens all the time over there. And I don't mean to say it wrong if people are named Karen. It's just, that was something we had to deal with, was people like that all the time. But the thing was, we had to deal with managers who were Karens. We had to deal with managers who were like this. And the reason why I say that is because those types of people who come in there like that, like those types of women, they come in there wanting to get you fired. They don't come in there looking to shop for groceries. They come in the store looking to get employees fired. And the thing is, when you have a manager who's like that, it's a whole nother story. And that was the situation that I had when I worked there. I had a manager who was a Karen and who wanted to fire every single person in the entire store, and who hated everybody who worked there, and everybody who worked there hated him. Or I guess you could say he was a Darren. But that was the thing, and it would be the most minute little things that they would want to fire you about. That was the thing. It could be a little speck on the floor, or a little speck of dust, here and there, and it didn't have to be something that the FDA would have reported. Because it could have been just a little bitty tiny whatever that the FDA would have never even thought about, and they still would have fired you over it. Or it could have been something that they, would have just passed the test of the government, and they still would have fired you about it because, there's a chance. But it still would have made the test anyways, and they know it would have made the test. It was just they were looking to fire you because they knew that they had to give you a raise. Or they knew they had to pay you. That was the thing. It wasn't that they knew they had to give you raises because they knew they were paying you. But the whole issue with my former employer is, you see, that, or not my former work, I meant to say, is that when you're working at a grocery store and you have schizophrenia, it's that, and you're working the clerk position, outside. The thing is that the times that I was working would be from 7 a.m. on Sunday to 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon. And I would also work from 3 p.m. say like on a Tuesday to like 11 p.m. at night. And then 3 p.m. on a Thursday to like 11 p.m. at night. And the problem with that is that people don't stay past 7:30 or 6:30. The crowd leaves past 6:30, and the store does not expect you to work any other position. So what happens is that you're expected to stay in your department until 11 o'clock at night. Now, they expect you to clean it up, they expect you to do this and do that. But the thing is, working in that department, it's really easy to clean it up. You clean the lot, you clean the this, and it's done. It's over. You have it done by 8:30. And the lot is spotless. And all you're left doing is sitting there on the basket return, talking to your hallucinations. Talking to, the things that aren't there. And you're sitting there talking to stuff that isn't there. And the problem is, this can be problematic in many different ways if you're not practicing a therapeutic stuff. Now, I ain't saying it wrong. They're hallucinations in themselves aren't necessarily the problem. It's when they get to a delusional state that's the problem. When they start developing to a delusion, and you have to be able to detect when they are getting to a delusion, and that is the point. And sometimes it takes time to learn how to detect that. And you have to go through hospitalization. You have to go through PHP. You have to go through partial hospitalization. You have to go through partial hospitalization. You have to go through intensive outpatient programs. Excuse me. You have to go through the system. I'm running off script on things because I don't have a script. But you have to go through the system. And that can be a problem if you haven't been through the psychiatric hospital, through the PHP programs and the intensive outpatient programs. And if you're not going through therapy, it can be a problem. And if you don't have that structure in place, it can be a problem. Because you don't have that rigorous support to support yourself and continue your own therapy on your own, which is part of the process of therapy. So for me, it was like I just sat there listening to my hallucinations and talking with my hallucinations. And the problem was, at the time, I had multiple different beliefs, some of them contradicting. And the thing was, I had beliefs in transhumanism, which is a belief that many people have at my age. And the reason why a lot of people have it is because it's a philosophical idea of transcending the human element, and this could mean transcending different. This could mean replacing different body parts or replacing cells or stuff like that. It can mean anything from medical reasons to just doing it because you want to. But the thing is that I had many different beliefs like that, and I had beliefs in Christianity, and I had beliefs in conservatism, and so forth. And the thing is that transhumanism and conservatism and Christianity don't mix well. And the reason why those three don't mix well is because when you start mixing those three, the thing that comes combined with Christianity is that Christianity has conspiracy theories baked into it, and in the modern sense. A lot of evangelicals will tend to bake in the idea of the end times and the idea that the end of the world is coming, especially those people who believe in this fire and brimstone shit that I was getting into years ago. And this idea that, that 666, mark of the beast sort of bullshit, and that whoever the Democrats elect as president is going to be the Antichrist, and is going to rule the world, and this and this and this, and just no concept of logic around the idea that the American president cannot be the dictator of the world, because the world will never accept that. So this idea that the American president will somehow become the dictator of the world is complete bullshit, because the EU and the rest of these European powers, they will overthrow the United States. I mean, if the United States tries to institute a dictator that tries to do that sort of thing that they're talking about, and tries to take dictatorial power over the world, they will institute a war with the United States if they have to, if they find some means necessary to do so, especially if their corporate interests are at stake. And what I mean is if their economic corporate interests are at stake. So the thing is that that's the reason why they had the EU set up. That's the reason why some of these global powers have their system set up, is because of this. And this is the reason why so many people in Europe are going against Donald Trump, is because of the same sort of bullshit. So the thing is why they don't like Donald Trump. And the thing is that if you have a dictator even in the US, they're not going to just handily dandy set up with the United States. If the United States decides to invade Europe, they're going to invade the United States. Period. And Christians do not understand that. And basically what I'm saying here is just another revamp of how schizophrenics talk sometimes. But yeah, that's just how it is. But the thing is, that's what I got into. I got into that idea that somehow this American-centric view that an American dictator would take over and then the world would just get behind it, and all of a sudden, you know, all the world's powers will be under this one, you know, whatever, and everybody would just start, you know, bowing down to this one person, you know, blindly, was something that I had believed. And the thing is that the reason why they believe that is because they believe that the mark of the beast controls the whole world. They believe that Satan controls everybody through the mark of the beast. And they believe that this mark of the beast is like the radio wave sort of stuff that Alex Jones and whatever them. But yeah, that basically what I was saying is that it's something that crazy Christians actually believe, is that you are being controlled in your mind by the devil through some means or whatever, you know, the mark of the beast or something. And or some of them just believe that you're just being controlled by the devil through your mind. And the thing is that they believe that the devil's mark is on everybody who sides with the devil. And it's kind of weird because also too, and in the Bible, it says that everybody in the world sides with the devil, which means everybody in existence sides with the devil. So the thing is, it's a bad belief system, and I fell for it when I was a Christian, because it puts you down this whole position, especially when you believe in this idea that it's gonna happen in the future. because it was it was an idea premised on the fall of the Roman Emperor Nero. That's what it was. And the burning and the sacking of Rome. That's pretty much what it was. But when you base the premise that that the book of Revelations and that Revelations 13 is going to happen in the future, that's when shit hits the fan. And the problem for me was that I used to believe that this bullshit was going to happen. And the way that it led me down, how it destroyed me as I go on through my life, as I go on, past rouses and so forth, is that it got me to the point where I was getting into this FEMA camp conspiracy shit because Christians somehow believe, and this is conservative Christians, somehow believe that everybody who is a conservative Christian is gonna get locked up in some camp and then get gassed. And they still believe this. Believe it or not, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists that still believe this bullshit. Can't you fucking believe that? There are people out there who are still like the Alex Jones motherfuckers, still out there on BitChute, pushing around this idea that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are gonna lock up Trump supporters and put them in the gas chambers and so forth. It's bullshit. There's motherfuckers that are spreading that bullshit. Spreading that bullshit. But these motherfuckers had like they had evidence. I mean, this is what they would do. They would go and they would take shots of actual prisons and say, that's a camp. This is the place where they commit the mass genocides. They would say, this is the place where they commit the murders or the gassings or the whatever the stuff. This is the place where they house all the Christian conservative people and bullshit and whatever have you. And then they would say, they would leave it as this little droplet sort of ideas that, you know, as a little picking little droplet sort of stuff, as you're supposed to build up to the idea. So they push an idea out and you're supposed to build to the next narrative. So they say that that the government's going to come and arrest you and then send you off to these camps. Well, their building of the idea is they're going to come at block time. You're supposed to think, well, 4 o'clock in the morning. They say, well, they got these little markers. It's going to tell you what group that you're probably in. You're supposed to think, well, oh, I'm in either the red or the blue or whatever, and the red means that I'm going to be exterminated. The blue means that I'm going to be indoctrinated or something like that. And then they're supposed to lead you to think that these prisons are all over the world and they're being run by the United States government somehow. that they're not just in the US, that they're in France, that they're in Germany, that they're in, Australia and so forth, and that the federal government has big old fucking Airbus A380s that are completely blacked out with nothing on the windows, and there's you can't tell anything that's inside of it because there's no way to see what's in it and so forth. And then it's that once you get in there, it's all indoctrination to leftist sort of whatever bullshit. And that's what they try to fucking push you into. And then the next sort of thing is that it's all if you don't fucking agree with blah 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 blah, you'll be exterminated. And then it's not actual leftist sort of stuff that they try to push, that they want you to think that you're going to be pushing. It's the stuff from Soviet Union, Russia, or they try to throw in their positions of Nazi Germany, even though Nazi Germany and Russia are not even remotely the same thing, even though they are authoritarian and whatever, National Bolshevik and all that other bullshit. They're on two different sides of the coordinate plane. The thing is that they try to get you to think that you're gonna get indoctrinated to what they believe this is. And if you don't accept it, you get exterminated. It's QAnon on next level bullshit, hyped up drugs, 10 times over on 50 different marathons. And it got me to the point where I was strongly hallucinating over this stuff. Got really delusional over it. I had 3 nights, like I said, where I didn't sleep. I bought a plane ticket to Mexico. I would have actually bought a plane ticket to South America, believe it or not, because that was in my mind. I had an airsoft rifle, which I remember I was pretending to shoot federal agents with it. If that's triggering, I don't mean to be that way, but that is some serious bullshit. This is what psychosis gets you. Because, I live in New Orleans. If this was a couple of months ahead, and there was a massive hurricane, and we just had a hurricane. If this was a couple of months ahead of time and we had a massive hurricane and I was in psychosis, I probably would have killed somebody. So, yeah, you understand the seriousness of what I went through when I was going through this. It was bad. I had 3 nights where I didn't sleep, and at the same time, my family didn't do much about this. They took me to see a priest. It's kind of weird because I basically was a flight risk. I tried to run away. And at first I told them, I said, no, look, you gotta go get me guns, you gotta go get me this, and blah, blah, blah. And they took me to actually go get guns. I I don't know. And then they took me to go see a priest. Because I thought I needed, whatever they call that in the Catholicism when you, when they believe they have demons in them. And exorcism, I meant to say. Yeah, I thought I needed an exorcism. I mean, really. An exorcism to fucking cure schizophrenia. I mean, come on, dude. Schizophrenia is permanent, and prayers doesn't cure shit. I mean, it's a reality. I mean, prayers don't do shit. I mean, that's the point. I mean, they may make you emotionally feel good, but they don't change your biological, they don't get rid of the hallucinations. They don't get rid of your biological problems. They don't get rid of the genetic issues and so forth. And that's the thing with schizophrenia, is that part of it is a genetic related issue because it's hereditary partially, and it can be traced back through your family. And the thing is that it usually is traceable back through your family, and most of the time that's where the majority of it, from what we know, comes from. It comes from family-related related things. Although sometimes it can start at the one person, but it mostly comes from family-related stuff, especially in the case that I have, because most of the time people today don't get it from drug use or stuff like that, and very often they don't get it through drug use. But the thing is that I wanted an exorcism to cure a disability. I wanted prayers to cure a disability. And disabilities are not curable. Disabilities don't get cured. Period. It doesn't happen. You don't cure a disability. That's something you live with for the rest of your life. You're going to have hallucinations for the rest of your life. And to think that you're not is bullshit. And people who think that, you're going to heal or recover from this is bullshit too. Just know that. So yeah, I was in Looney Land. And like I said, that night that I tried to have a priest, do an exorcism on me, he was actually the one person who actually thought consistently somewhat rational, because he had said, no, you need to get psychiatric help. You need to go to a hospital. And it's like, to me now, why wasn't that the first place my family took me to? Because I had 3 nights where I didn't sleep. 3 nights where I didn't sleep, and they still didn't take me to a psychiatric hospital, and I'm believing all this delusional bullshit. Yeah, they should have took me to a psychiatric hospital. And the thing was, the priest knew better and told him, no, this is where you need to go, and that's where I ended up going. But I didn't go there because of him. I went there because of myself. I went there because the next he convinced me, it got me in my mind. Although it took me another day of not sleeping. The day that I saw the priest was actually the second day. The third day was the next day. Well, actually no, it was the other way around. It was the fourth day. Day 4. And day 4 was the day I did sleep. And on the next day I did say, no, we're going to the hospital. And I went, and they diagnosed me with schizophrenia. And they said, no, you're staying here. You're not going anywhere. They put me in the emergency room. They put me in a chamber. Not in a chamber, but they put me in a separate room, away from everybody else. And they had me see the psychiatrist for the ER. And then, of course, they moved me off to the psychiatric ward. And that was that. But, yeah. I did a video on my psychiatric stay. I guess I could leave a link in the description about that. But yes, the psychiatric hospital is it's difficult. Sometimes it's boring because the one that I went to 7 years ago, there was really nothing much to do, and a lot of the time, everything, it's all, the beds are made out of cement. They're cemented to the floor, and for a reason. It's for security reasons. There's no springs in the mattresses. There's no supports in the bed. It's just basically stuffing in the mattresses, and even then it's a risk because patients can actually pull apart the mattress and eat the mattress, and that's a problem. And there's no way of actually escaping. The glass is bulletproof. The whole entire building, the whole entire floor is encased in bomb-proof cement and so forth. It's encased in a lot stronger cement than the rest of the building because it's a psychiatric ward and a geriatric ward, and there's a lot more security on that, or there was a lot more security on that floor because they're not using it anymore. They're using a different building now, and even if you tried to escape, if you did escape, you would actually be put in a higher security facility than that. So it's not worth the time. And the thing with that is that after I left, however, things basically the delusions were still there, the hallucinations were still there. The hospital doesn't really do much for you as far as delusions, get rid of your delusions and so forth. What it does do is it gets you on the medications, and that's what it mainly does. So after I left the hospital, I was on Thorazine. I was on Thorazine later in my therapy process. I was on Haldol when I was in the hospital. I was on Latuda when I was in the hospital, and when I left the hospital for the first couple of weeks, and then that was when I was fired from my job. Was the first week after or so after I left the hospital, which was a bullshit thing that happened. The thing was, the delusions still existed, but they didn't. They went away as time went on. Basically, I thought the end of the world was going to happen before 2014 had got there. Before 2014 had ended, I meant to say, because this happened in 2014. I thought the end of the world was going to happen when 2015 got there. And because I thought Barack Obama was the Antichrist. Excuse me. And because I was way on some bullshit. And I was pulling this hard Republican bullshit at the time. And of course, when 2014 had ended, nothing had happened. And then when 2014 had ended, nothing had happened. And then I started saying, getting into this thought that, it's going to happen in February of 2015, because at that time, what they were pushing through Congress was they were trying to get the churches to pay for Medicare and Medicaid, because the churches, there was something to do with the churches and tax 501c3 501c3 stuff and so forth, and that 501c3s I think have to pay medical or something, I don't know what it was, just to keep their 501c3 status or something, and that churches shouldn't be exempt from this sort of stuff. And the thing was that the government was trying to pass bills on this, and Republicans had tried to block it, or they did block it, and the senator at the time from the state of Louisiana, Mary Landrieu, had voted against had voted for it, and Republicans were mad because they wanted to block it, and Republicans across the rest of the board had voted to block it, and this was the thing that actually got Senator Mary Landrieu got her taken out of office by I forget whatever his name is, but it's the reason why she lost her Senate seat here in the state of Louisiana, which is a bullshit reason. Louisiana should have voted her in again because of that. There's no goddamn reason that churches should not be paying for Medicare or for this or for whatever reason. Bullshit like that should not be going on. That was not a goddamn reason to pull Mary Landrieu from office. But it tells you how backwards Louisiana is. Right now they're fucking praising the idea that that Amy Coney Barrett is on the bench because she wants to get rid of women's rights and so forth. or that Trump is appointing her to the bench and so forth. Now, I don't believe she should be allowed to be on the bench. And the thing is that they're really hard on some of this bullshit. But the thing was that I thought that the end of the world was going to happen when that bill was proposed, and of course it did. So I was pushing the goalpost back again, and each and every time I pushed the goalpost back, nothing happened. And I realized, oh, bullshit is going on. And this is what got me going the route of saying, hey, I think this is kind of weird, because, you know, this doesn't make sense. You know, this does not make sense at all. And though I was doing it for wrong reasons, obviously I was doing it for religious sort of bullshit, and I wasn't in the right whatever. But I went the route of going down towards social progressivism and libertarian and sort of stuff, and then I went towards socialism. Believe it or not, I went and took a hard left because I was going towards anti-statism, and I went and got into anything anti-statism, and then just started saying, well, wait a second, no, all these motherfuckers who are on the right are all bullshit, because a lot of this sort of stuff is anti blah 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 whatever, and I made excuses for it, and it's not, you know, it's just not, a lot of what they're saying is just crap, and, you know, they ain't got no excuses for what they're saying, so it's all bullshit. So I just said, no, fuck it. So I went that route, and then just said, no, this makes sense. And then as the time went by, I still believed in the conspiracy theories and so forth, but then I realized that, well, not the conspiracy theories, but I still believed in that the 4 blood moons and the end of the world and that shit was going to happen. But then I realized that, oh, wait, that's not going to happen. The chances of that happening wasn't going to happen, and that didn't happen. So then I started believing that, oh, well, wait a second, you know, maybe this is going to be the end of the world. And I was pushing the goalpost back again, and it didn't happen again. So then I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to happen at all. And then it did. And then I was like, you know, maybe Christianity's bullshit. And this was coming around the time of, this was after Christmas of 2015, going into 2016. Basically after New Year's, I meant to say. And I was like, because at one time I said Catholicism was bullshit, and I started saying Christianity's bullshit. Because it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And at that point in time I started realizing, because I started getting into this idea that the way Christians were behaving was antithetically opposed to the way people behave to other people and so forth. And that was just the way it went. And I just realized it was just not indicative of a good place to be in. So basically, as 2016 rolled by, it was during this time I realized that I started getting into, started seeing a lot of the atheism sort of stuff that came around, and I was realized that Christianity does not make a lot of sense. And there was this. It was a lot faster for me than a lot of other atheists. But then there was this kind of sense to me that I had come across with seeing these videos by Dr. Marlene Winnell, even though I never met Dr. Marlene Winnell, about not only how Christians behave to other Christians, or not only how Christians behave to other, to atheists and to non-Christians and so forth, I meant to say. But there was one particular video that she had, like I said, about the end times. And particularly about the conspiracy theories, the this, the that, whatever have you. And that's what got me viewing into this idea that the conspiracy theories, religion, this, that, all that bullshit is tied to my hallucinations, to my delusions, to my psychosis, to my hallucinations, my delusions, my psychosis that was going on at the time. And I was like, whoa. This is tied to everything that was going on at the time. Literally, this is tied to what was happening back in 2014. And what I realized is, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of frustration, a lot of madness. But then I discussed it in a video that it also felt like the movie, The Boy in Striped Pajamas. Where this character, Bruno, he goes up to, his family is in Nazi Germany. Now, his father is this guy who runs the concentration camp, and I don't mean to say it wrong, I don't mean to use the term that way, but his father runs, he's an SS officer, runs the camp, and blah blah blah, and he goes up, his family tells him that the people in the camp, they're the farmers, they're this, or in that there's the whole issue of everybody out there is bad, or they're the farmers but they're bad, or they're this, or they're that. And then he goes up and he talks with them because he doesn't have somebody to play with. And then he goes up and he finds a little boy who's on the other side of the fence, who's inside the camp, who hasn't found his family, and he finds out that that not all the farmers, not all the people, or what Jesus says the Jewish people, are bad, and that they are good people, and that when he goes back to the family and they try to bring in what they would consider as a teacher, but he's really just an indoctrination person. And they say, that these people are bad, these people are this, these people are that, he would go up and he would say, no, I don't think so. This is whatever. And as the time went on, he eventually developed to the point where he wanted to go in and help the little Jewish boy go find his family. And he dug into the camp and put on the striped pajamas, and then went into the camp to look for the Jewish boy's family. And I ain't gonna say what happened to the main character, Bruno. It's pretty gruesome. But the thing is that you realize with Nazi Germany was that camp was reality. Everything outside was not. Everything outside those barbed fences was not. And when you made that deconversion, it feels like you're finding out that you are the boy with striped pajamas. And it's the same process when you find out that you're gay, or you find out that you're that you have schizophrenia, or that you find out that XYZ, that you're when somebody finds out that they're trans, or something like that. That's basically what it's like. That this is the real world inside this fenced-in area in the camp, and then everything outside is not real. And then everything outside controls the camp. Because when you're LGBT, or when you're atheist, or when you're schizophrenic, or when you're this, and I don't mean to use the language, I identify as schizophrenic, so that's something you have to know with people who have schizophrenia, is that if they identify themselves as schizophrenic, then only let them use the word schizophrenic on them, because they don't use the word to them. Don't use the word to identify them, because that's actually offensive. Let them use the word to identify themselves. It's because when you come up and you call somebody else schizophrenic, that is offensive. When they say that they are schizophrenic, let them use it single to identify themselves, because it's not it's offensive to use it against somebody else. So it should only be used to identify you yourself when you have schizophrenia, and that is it. Because to identify somebody who doesn't have schizophrenia, or somebody who does somebody else, or just to use it on somebody, is offensive. It's like misgendering a trans person, or taking a label that doesn't belong to you at the same time, and that is offensive and is ableist. So that is something you should not. That's something you gotta know when you're using that term. But yeah, the thing is, not to get sidetracked, but the thing is that when you're in that camp and you're either you're transgender, you're schizophrenic, or you're LGBT, or you're any one of those things, and you're in that camp, the world outside controls that camp. And you can not control these things because the not real world controls that camp. The lunatics from, I don't mean saying it wrong, but the crazy people like the Trump supporters and so forth control that camp. The politicians in Washington control that camp. That's basically what it is. I have to get out of here. I know, I got my cowboy hat on. So guys, I'm sorry that the video had actually stopped and it cut out kind of at the end with the camera, so I don't mean to actually, for that to actually have happened. It just happened. What can I do? It just happened, so you have to deal with it. The camera just stopped working, so it's a pain in the ass, I know. Yeah. But anyways, if you like my video, rate, comment, subscribe. Remember to follow me on Twitch, Twitter. All my links are in the description. Patreon, PayPal, all that sort of stuff. Well, Patreon, PayPal's not down there. Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, all that sort of stuff is down there. Follow me down below in the description. Peace out. I can't even make the peace sign anymore. I can make the Hail Satan sign. But see you guys later. Peace.